Hi, Sally. Reading through your oil survey results, there seems to be a solid consensus on where the oil price might be for next year, but there's widely varying views on its drivers. What surprised you most about this survey?
So on the price to begin with, the majority of the respondents in the survey actually said that they expect Brent oil price to be in the $80 to $90 a barrel range, which is in line with our core scenario. It's in line with where the forward curve is, and it's in line with the analyst consensus expectations. In terms of the drivers, we actually see five key drivers, and this is what we asked our clients on the survey. So those five key drivers are geopolitical developments, the OPEC plus supply policy, non-OPEC plus supply, the Fed interest rate outlook, and Chinese demand. And I think arguably the first one, geopolitical developments, have been the major driver since October last year. But the question we asked was, what will be the key driver for the next 2 years? So what actually surprised me the most was the least number of people on the survey actually picked geopolitical developments. The majority actually picked OPEC plus policy on the supply side. And the second was the China demand story that is expected to be one of the key drivers for oil prices in the next 2 years.
All right, I mean, you mentioned OPEC, no surprise there. They're the ultimate arbiter of supply. And with that in mind, how are respondents thinking about the cartel supply management and what shape the alliance may indeed look like in years to come?
Right. So we actually asked a few questions on this, and I'll try to summarize all of them with what the answer was by the majority. So the first question we asked was whether OPEC Plus alliance will remain in place in 2025, and a big majority said yes, they will. The second question we asked was, will OPEC Plus supply management will have to stay forever? And majority actually said not forever, but from time to time, depending on the demand picture. We asked whether there will be exits. There will be more exits following Angola last year from the group, from OPEC Plus this year. And there was a lot of uncertainty around this. I mean, it was essentially a 50-50 answer on yes and no. And then finally, we asked whether OPEC Plus will shift its strategy from supporting prices, which is their strategy right now, back to focusing on market share. And a big majority said no, they will not, and they will continue to focus on supporting prices as much as they can.
Okay, maybe the last thing we should touch on is energy transition. So, what did the survey tell you about that? And maybe specifically around where oil demand might end up, or peak oil demand, that is.
This is actually one of my favorite questions to ask around the peak oil demand. And every time we run this survey, which is at least once a year, I make sure we have this question because it's, I think, very interesting to see how the sentiment moves around as well. So this last time in the most recent survey, actually the majority doesn't expect peak oil demand to come before 2030. There's clearly growing confidence in oil and oil demand to grow for the rest of this decade. And the interesting bit about this is that only 2 years ago, when we asked our clients about peak oil demand, the majority actually expected oil demand to peak before 2030. So we can see this clear shift in sentiment and growing confidence in oil and its prospects in the rest of this decade.
Sally, thanks very much for your views. Really interesting survey. Look forward to seeing how this plays out. Thank you.